Tuesday afternoon edition of Upfront here on ENCA. Now, the NSFAS, that's the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, says it's not accepting any late applications. The National Student Financial Aid Scheme is refuting reports that its cycle for late applications is open. For more on this, then I'm joined in studio by the scheme's Randall Carolison. Thank you so much for coming through, Randall. So there was a sense, there were people who believed that you take late applications. Where did this confusion come from?
Well, look, first of all, we agreed with the system that the 30th of November is the final date, and we did a lot of work last year. We did a lot of work to actually register those record number of applicants that we received. I don't know where this comes from, but it is fake news. The cycle is not open. However, what we do is we do accommodate the walk-ins at TVET colleges because students still believe university to be the first port of call. And if they therefore are not successful, they then revert back to the colleges. And so we allow the colleges then to register students, and at the same time, if they're eligible for NSFAS, to then make that same application. This means that we have to have a rapid turnaround in the processing of that so that we can fund those students in time.
Right. So talk to me then, as you and I talk at the moment, there are students queuing, for instance, at the Tshwane University of Technology, which is not a TVET college, hoping to gain a place. What happens with those students who are accepted so late at university?
So universities are governed by an enrollment plan. And, you know, on the one side, if they exceed the enrollment plan, they are punished. But on the other side, if they don't make the enrollment plan, they deny people possible potential places. So we will then have individual discussions with those institutions, and we will work through a process that we've developed together with DHET to cater for that type of environment, where universities have not fulfilled their enrollment plans. But that's on a one-on-one basis. So there's no issue about the cycle being open, because that means carte blanche. It's been targeted that we look at people that have specific needs and talk to the university and TVET authorities.
So what is it? What is the reason why you can't do late applications?
Because the longer you take to accept late applications, the more disturbances you introduce into the system. Now, you will appreciate the large number of registrations that we had last year. So that is all processed over the Christmas season, where there were outstanding documents. We were able to follow up on that. And so when you open, the longer you take them, the more instability you introduce into the system, because then the turnaround time becomes long. Students don't get funded, they become upset, and then a lot of instability in the system. We also have to be wary about our budget constraints. We don't have an unlimited budget. So we will have to have some discipline in the system where we say that the time is open, we can plan, therefore, for 2020 properly. And it's all got to do with planning and budget.
So more than 500,000 applications received, many of them done via your online application system, and many of them from recipients of social grants, which you're saying you've verified through Home Affairs as well as social development. But what does this mean for funding? Where do we stand in as far as your ability to fund all of these students?
So as I said, we determine the upfront eligibility where the students qualify for NSFAS funding. They only become funded once they are registered at a public university or public TVET college for a approved course. So all that is being modeled, and we are confident that we can meet that demand. So it doesn't mean that you're automatically funded. The next step is to actually receive your registration. Once we receive the registration data from the institution, we then activate the funding, and the funding then starts to flow both to the institution and to the student.
I'm just curious, what percentage of the applicants and those who are eventually funded? I mean, we've had 2 years now of this system where many of the students would then qualify for what are effectively grants under that scheme announced by former President Jacob Zuma late in 2017. Are you able to give me a sense of what percentage of students qualify for that and the kind of impact you've been able to have in the last 2 years?
You will recall that the administration started in August 2018, and in 2019 we had a relatively peaceful year because we made sure the students get their funding, and we funded 99% of all students. In fact, 99% is the right number. The other 1% did not complete their bursary obligations or did not fill out their forms. So we funded last year 740,000 students, and that's in keeping with our modeling of what we expect to fund. So this year we expect to have a growth, a certain percentage growth, and so far already we've declared 600,000 eligible from the new students that applied. So for the 550, 400,000 were declared eligible already, and it's on their portal. And 200,000 of the returning university students have been declared eligible. So now we watch with keen interest what will come out of the TVET system, and that will then give us the final number. So all that has been modelled according to the enrolment plans that we receive from the Department of Education, as well as the different institutions. So we are comfortable that we can fund it, and we are comfortable that we can fund them for the duration of the course.
Lastly, Randall, last year you had some hiccups, and that's putting it mildly. There were a number of students who were frustrated, basically saying that NSFAS has not paid at my institution, and we saw some of them complaining about results being held back and those kind of things. That shouldn't be happening.
So let me be very clear. So if you're a NSFAS student, and I said this a number of times in the media the past few days, and I've spoken to a number of vice chancellors. If you're a NSFAS student, there's no upfront payment or no registration fee. If you're a NSFAS student, an institution can't withhold your results because we pay for that student. So that's guaranteed. So there had been hiccups at the front face where students were told that NSFAS did not transfer the money, and that is nonsense. I want to use a strong term, because we have records of transfer of funds to institutions, and everybody is aware of that now. So of course there were hiccups, but by and large we were successful in funding most, if not all, the students that were on our books. You must remember that when I was introduced in August 2018, NSFAS was in complete disarray. And in a very short space of time, students were not funded for 8 months in 2018. Very short space of time we had delivered to those students so that we have a peaceful 2018 conclusion of that academic year. And that we carried over into 2019. So we learned a lot of lessons. We've come a long, long way, but there's still some way to go. So we are able now to exchange with institutions on a live basis, almost a live basis, on an hourly basis, who is funded by NSFAS. So when the student then come there, he or she then can be identified as a NSFAS student and be properly treated.
Are there students that institutions that make your work difficult by way that they administer their part of the NSFAS process?
Look,
there are the ones that are notorious, and I think you know about them. Wits University, for example, comes up from time to time. You hear about problems at that institution, but you also hear about problems at UNISA, for example.
So yes, look, it's both ways. Okay, so every incident we treat as a learning experience. But I can say with a lot of conviction now that the exchange of information is real time, and it's much, much better than it used to be in the past. So like I said, institutions can see who we register. We in turn can see who they register. So for instance, that's the reason why we are able to have declared 200,000 returning students eligible even before the start of registration, which is a massive improvement, because in the past NSFAS used to declare that only in May. We don't want to sing our own praises, and we don't want to blame anybody, but we are working very effectively together with institutions.
Okay. Randall, thank you so much for coming through. By the way, the issue of the demands by some students who were distance education students for NSFAS to fund things like laptops and the likes, has that been resolved?
It's not entirely resolved, but we have made progress in our discussions with UNISA. That's what I could possibly say at the moment, because UNISA is a distance teaching university.
Yeah.
The fact that it's now assuming some character of face-to-face teaching is something that we have to work through before we can make a decision.
Thank you so much, Dr. Randall Carolison of NSFAS, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, talking to me there about the processes going into this financial year and academic year at institutions.